Hello, and it's a lovely Thursday morning. Welcome to Market Insight. I am Lovina Emma. Now, recently, the European Investment Bank wants to invest in climate-related projects across Africa. The bank's vice president, Thomas Ostros, has said that the EIB wants to focus on viable long-term investments that have the chance to boost economic growth. Currently, the EIB is working on the electrification of the bus transport system in Nairobi, Kenya, and food security in Zambia. In addition, it has pledged €1 billion to help South Africa transition from the use of coal. So this is just to mention a few of the green energy projects that the European Investment Bank is currently doing in the continent Africa. So we're going to look at how sustainable and viable these projects will be in the long term, and how we can actually, on our own, after the bank has put in the structures for us, maintain what they have been able to create for us on the continent. So this morning, my guest is Mr. Kasimu Garba Kurfi. He's a fellow member of the Institute of Chartered Accountants, and he's also a fellow of the Institute of Stockbrokers, and he's also an authorized dealing clerk of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. He has over 20 years experience in banking, in the private sector, in oil and gas, in financial services, and also in the stockbroking industry. Currently, he's the managing director of APT Securities and Funds Limited, and he's also the chairman, MTI PLC and MIAC Resources, and he's also a former director of the Urban Development Bank of Nigeria, now the Infrastructure Bank of Nigeria. So welcome to Market Insights, Mr. Kasimu Garba Kurfi.
Welcome for having me.
Yes, we're happy to have you here this morning as we discuss the European Investment Bank's greenhouse projects across the African continent. And like I mentioned during the introduction, I said that they have a project where they want to make the Kenyan bus system more sustainable with electricity. They want the buses to run using electricity instead of petrol. Apart from that, they want to promote more food security in Zambia. And currently, there are ongoing projects of how to stop the use of coal energy in South Africa. So those are just to mention a few of the projects the European Investment Bank has ongoing on the African continent. So in terms of this drive to promote more green energy, sustainable green energy projects across Africa, how viable do you think this will be in the long term?
Well, it is very viable because all what take to do the green energy investment, African and Nigeria in particular, we have all it. My understanding is that the federal government and the state should understand that European mean business. They intend to spend 45 European billions by 2027. Initially, they identified 87 projects. Today, as I'm talking to you, they have increased it to 137 projects. And the energy sector is one of them. They are also into health. They are also into the education and the research. So I believe that the federal government and the state government should understand this, because we always have many things in common in Europe. Today, our large exporter of most of what we do here, we export it to Europe. And today, despite our rising importation and exportation with China, still European is number one. So we have all what take, and we have the market. When you talk Africa without Nigeria, you are not in Africa, because we constitute at least 25% of the entire population. And we have the economy that is booming. If not because of the devaluation of Naira, our economy is number one. Even the other two that are number 2 and 3 now, they cannot have anything better than what we have. And this green energy is what Nigeria has. You are talking of hydrocarbon. I wonder where were European when the Chinese take the Mambila. They could have done it and do it better, because they were the one that established Shiroro, they were the one that established Kainji, and they are all performing and doing very well. So therefore, for the federal government and the state should understand what the European is, go and understand their line of investment, and let us align with them and tap from these huge investment which they intend to do in Africa. But for the green energy, we are number one. We have the sunlight, we have the water. Almost across the 36 states we have rainfall. I begin to wonder, why most of our state government construct bridges? We don't need them. I have a road that is just 27 kilometers from Kurfi to Bathari in Katsina State. They constructed 4 bridges, which is uncalled for. If each of the bridge, instead of constructing the bridge, just add a little money and construct a dam, that dam will last for many years and many people will have enough for irrigation. If you are in Kano, you will know that along Malumpashi, Gordo, they have 2 dams. Along Daura, Kano, they have 2 dams. And all these dams, you see people are earning their livelihood. Mostly in the north, we have a rainfall of 4 months. So out of 12 months, 8 months are free for irrigation. And irrigation is the one that gives you money because you release the water as when need. You stop the water when you don't need it. Not unlike the rain. You need the rain, the water, the rain did not fall. You don't need the water, the rain fall. So mostly you cannot dictate, and therefore in irrigation you dictate, you have high yield. We are talking of wheat importation. We can even use the irrigation to produce wheat. Already we are using irrigation to produce rice, sugarcane. So many of the things that we are importing, if we go into it, will work for us. And these are investment opportunity that the Europeans are ready to put into. Because once you have hydrocarbon, you will generate the energy apart from the irrigation. And that can be enough for most of the massive people into agrarian sector.
Okay, thank you very much for that, actually. Yes, I've seen the benefits of actually this investment in green energy and how it's going to benefit us, not just in terms of the use of our energy here, in terms of also our agricultural sector, too, like you rightfully mentioned, in terms of irrigation system, improving on it, using hydrocarbon as a source of energy, and which, yeah, like you rightfully said, the EIB is willing to invest in. So yes, I've seen that there are actually lots of benefits of using green energy for both Africa, especially here in Nigeria. But looking at Nigeria's power sector in depth, you know, in recent times, in fact, it's been going on for many years right now, it hasn't been stable. We cannot boast of stable power supply in Nigeria. It keeps going on and off. Every now and then you hear, okay, the power grid has collapsed, then later on, yes, it's been fixed and now we can have power. But it's something that it's affecting businesses all over the country, it's affecting all sectors of the country. So how can you see, how do you look at, what are your thoughts, please, on this investment by the EIB, especially with Nigeria's power sector in terms of renewable energy?
I think first, before you get an investment, you must have rules and guidelines that are friendly for investment.
Yes.
What we have before is a cake. You hardly get any serious investors coming to it. Now they have changed the rule. First, generating the power. Initially, when you generate the power, everything you must send it to the center to distribute. You cannot even be licensed to trade what you generate. But now they have changed the rule. Every generation system have been given the license, those who request that they can sell. And now since they can sell, they can decide to bypass even sending it to the center. They can sell to those who are in need. And that is a welcome development, and that's what the Europeans are looking for. So I expect most of those companies that are into Janko should expand. Take, for instance, of the Transcorp Power. When they took over, they just are talking of 160 megawatt. Today, they are boast of 960 megawatt. Out of it, they are producing about 760. And they come to the market. They just listed last week with 1.8 trillion. Today, you are talking of over 3 trillion. So if they place their shares to the bank are willing to give them money to expand more. If you go to the European, they are willing to invest into those kind of investment. And Grego already is in the power. They came with about 250 billion. Today, Grego is over 2.5 trillion. And this shows you that since you are friendly to the market, the Europeans are also friendly to invest. I know that of the Transcorp Power, they went to the motor general in Europe, no, in US to get this. But the European now, there is a friendly law, and the Genco are permitted to sell to whoever is in need. And now even the trunks, they have improved, but they are willing to do as we need, because you don't need to generate power in Lagos and take it to Oshobo to distribute. No, you can generate it in Lagos and sell it in Lagos, and that's what the Europeans need. Most of our estates, take for instance, Pestac Town. You can get an institute that will come and generate it there and sell within. And therefore, we have all those segments that you can generate in. We have seen it recently. We have launched one in Aba. And you know what happened? The company that is good in producing tire from Indonesia decided to visit them. They said they don't mind to establish an industry that will generate tires. Remember, we have over 20 million vehicles in this country.
Yes.
And some of them, they need as much as 28 tires. But we don't produce tire. The Dunlop and the Michelin are no longer here. So with this one, it's a welcome development. And I believe that the investors should shine their eyes, meet these people, and let go and produce what they need, because they are willing to invest in the energy and green, which is very good for us. They are willing to invest in health, which we don't need to travel abroad. And they are willing to invest in education and the research, which a lot of Nigerians are in Europe seeking for knowledge, which we could have achieved it here in Nigeria. So we have what take is left for the state and the federal government to visit this European community and see what they can get from them, because they are willing to invest 45 European billions by 2027, and with 138 identified projects. Look at those identified projects and tap from them. And I believe you that we are ready to. We just recently discussed with the Gombe, who say that they will soon start generating power from their dam. And many other in the north, they have this dam, they can generate power. And the Europeans are willing to invest because they are green energy.
Yes, yeah, and I like what you said. Yes, there are more people across this country, and also I'm quite sure across this continent also that will want the European Investment Bank to invest in their green energy projects. But I want to ask, actually, you know, we Africans, and it's an African thing. We have this challenge. Yes, we might welcome, the majority of us might welcome this investment as something really good. But how ready are we? Like, what challenges do Africans need to address to ensure the success of this project, actually? Because I know I am excited about this kind of thing. I'm sure you are too. But what challenges? You know, we have our little political issues here and there, and also our own business issues. But how ready are we to put all these things aside?
The great challenge for Africa is changing the government.
Okay.
You wake up, you hear the radio say that there is a coup.
Yes, that's one aspect.
This brings instability and change everything upside down. Nobody wants to invest where there is no stability.
Yes.
But I think gradually we are going above that. Since South Africa go into democracy, there wasn't any change government. Everything was peaceful through democracy.
Yes.
From 1999 to date, we are talking of getting to 25 years where in democracy there wasn't any coup.
Yes.
Give and take, you see that we are willing to change. Even the ruling party has been defeated and the heaven did not fall. So what it means that we are gradually displaying to the European that we are matured enough to handle any investment. And the beauty of it, we don't reverse ourselves. All the investment decision took by Jonathan, Buhari did not reverse any. You know, we had those reversals during Obasanjo and Umar Musa Yar'Adua, late Musa Yar'Adua,
yes.
Even though they are in the same party. But that did not happen. Even when Jonathan handed over to Buhari, Buhari concurrently continued with the Genco that was already established by the Jonathan. And that gives them the confidence. So as long as we can assure that irrespective of the change of the government, even by a political party, we come to stay, I think this is good to go. I can tell you, even recently, before Buhari left, he has commissioned 90 roads that they should go and reconstruct by the private and also charge toll gate. And when the president now, Ahmed Tinubu, did not change it, he continued with them. And I remember they even did the privatization of Shiroro, which is the power generation company.
Yes.
When the present president come, he continues it. So this gives the European confidence that if you deal with our government, irrespective of the government you deal with, the other one will not change that. For the other African where we are having coup, we say stop the coup because it doesn't help anybody. It only creates confusion for the investment and it retards development. Today we are living testimony of democracy. Take Lagos for instance. The road, the development that we have seen in Lagos, we have never seen it during the military regime. Today most of our roads are very smooth, clean and clear, and these were achieved by the democracy and irrespective of the change of the governors. So what we are saying, the European, the African are ready for this, especially those that are set for the democracy, tested and proved beyond reasonable doubt. South Africa, Nigeria, Ghana, Kenya, Egypt. We can see that many of them, they come to stay and they are willing to tap from this, and it's left for the European to build from where they stop.
Totally agree with that, yes. Okay, now what, we know we have other financial institutions across the country, actually, like the Bank of Industry, the Infrastructure Bank, just to mention a few, the Bank of Agriculture. Now, what role do you think other financial institutions can play in supporting Africa's transition to a green economy? I'm just mentioning the ones in Nigeria.
The financial institution, we have African Development Bank.
Yes, the African
and we have the African Finance Corporation, which is AFC. It's a bank like African Development Bank, and also the central banks of various countries.
Yes.
Today I read in the paper that the central bank decided to issue 100 billion fertilizer across the board. In the way the interest rates are in double digit, you are talking of 20, 25, 30, 31. Yes. No any serious investors can borrow at that rate and make any hedgeways. So we need the development banks to participate into this because they can afford to give it in a single digit, and that is the beginning of the development. In any serious investment, you need low interest rate for you to make a good margin. And if the development bank, like a central bank, African Development Bank, Bank of Industry, Federal Mortgage Bank, if all they participate and give their loan in the single digit, I can tell you, you will see development and you will see progress across the board, because we need this development, especially if you look at the situation of our infrastructures.
Yes. Okay, now we know that these types of projects, it should naturally benefit people in the rural areas, first of all, and also people in the urban centers, that people living in the cities, like here in Lagos, actually. So now, what do you suggest the European Investment Bank should do to ensure these green energy projects benefit local communities and it doesn't lead to land grabbing and displacement of people in the long term? You know, definitely we'll need land to actually build these renewable energy projects or facilities on them. So hopefully it doesn't lead to land grabbing families, or rather communities being displaced. We want everything to still retain its normal position, even with this investment.
Okay, the Europeans, they are not unknown to Africans.
No, they are not.
When Africans were shared to Europeans,
yes.
So they know our potential. Take, for instance, cement industry. Okay. Lafarge has been here for decades. Blue Cycle has been here for decades. What was our output in the cement? But today, when they Dangote take Obajana Ibeji, when Bua take Obu and Souq cement, today we are net exporter. We don't need to import cement. We are exporting cement to Ghana and other countries. So what it shows you that we have the potential, and generally Africa have the potential, but the Europeans should understand this and invest heavily, because there is no need. Look at our population. Look at the market size. You don't need to be tall. All the minerals they are looking for, we have them. So why don't you come and add value? Today, what is European making in chocolate? Nigerians that produce the cocoa, they don't make it. So they have to change their perception, come and add value. When they do that, believe me, the sky is their limit, we are getting rules that are very favorable, and our market is there. Wherever you are endowed, you can come and invest and go to the market. When you go to the market, you get your money. And we have African countries being listed in Europe and London market stock exchange. So what stopped them coming to Africa, invest in Africa, and list your company across the board? So we have what take, and they know us more than we know ourselves, because all the minerals all the potential of the African country, Europeans know it. So my advice, please take the lead. Don't allow the Asian, Chinese in particular, to lead you. You have all what it takes to be the leaders, and you need us. Because today, go and check the European, majority of their trading is to Europe, rather than even to China. So they should maintain that lead by reinvesting and investing more and more into the African and Nigeria in particular, because of the market size.
Okay, you know, mostly there's always this, you know, every time a Western country comes into maybe an Arabic country or an African country, maybe for its resources, on with the partnership of, okay, this me investing in your country's resources should benefit both you and also me. So for example, if we have gold, yes, we do have gold in Nigeria, and also we have crude oil too in Nigeria, but I'm looking at this, like you rightfully said, we have sunlight, we have the water resources, we have everything for us to have our own renewable energy. Now, if the EIB says they want to actually tap into our natural resources, hopefully it's not going to lead to some form of land grabbing, all under the guise of, oh yes, these are our foreign investors, they are coming in. That's what I'm driving at, because we know in times like this, when Western powers come in to say they want to actually help to tap our natural resources to benefit our economy, then later on it turns into land grabbing. You see more than these powers actually are the ones benefiting more from the project than the actual community. Actually, we've seen this situation happen in different countries in the past. So I'm saying hopefully this project, I just want to get your thoughts on this, does not lead to this kind of situation of land grabbing, all in an attempt to tap into our natural resources.
As I said earlier, European knows us. That
Yes.
old colonialism system is gone. And today, France is a living testimony. You cannot, you have to allow people to benefit from what Allah blessed them with. Take recently we have this NUM that is in Nasara state.
Yes.
You just say they want to come and extract it. They say, the President Buhari said no. We want the factory that it is. China come with the factory. Now they have started producing the battery. So it is all changed. The question of coming and extracting raw material is gone. But come and add value and move on. If you do so, you will benefit. It's a win-win situation. Still your money is there as an investment, and at the same time you are adding value, so the local people will benefit. Why should we be exporting crude oil? And today we have a refinery that can produce 350,000 barrels. That is more than 50% of our current production. So things have changed, and they have to change. And if they change, they come here. I can tell you they all know us, and they know what to do to get what they want. So all they need to do is to change the perception that I will extract the crude oil, I will extract the mineral and go and process it there. No, come here, add value here, and then sell to the world. We are a global village. You can produce here and sell to anywhere. I know a Chinese factory in Kano. For over 30 years, they are producing shoes. Most of their shoes, they export it to Europe. So let them change this perception, extract the raw material, go and process it and resell to us. No. We produce cocoa. If you take Ivory Coast, you take Ghana, you take Nigeria, we produce more than 80% of the cocoa in the world.
Yes.
But we get less than 5% value of the chocolate. Why don't you come and produce it here? Then export it. So I believe that the Europeans should change their perception, and which they are willing to do, because they have seen competitions. Competition is coming from Russia, competition is coming from China, yes. Competition coming from the Indian, and all these are coming up. They are willing to invest and stay with us. The Europe should come and invest and stay with us. And if they do that, the sky is their limit, because they know us better than the rest.
Mr. Kasimu, so I just want to know now, how do you really think that this green energy projects by the EIB should be primarily focused on renewable energy?
Well, the question is that do we have the opportunity to do that? The answer is yes. One, we have water, rainfall. We have many hydro energy that you can, rivers that you can block and generate this energy. Secondly, we have the sunlight. In the entire Africa, there is nowhere that we don't have full sunlight, at least a minimum of 12 hours per day. And that is good enough. So in view of this, I solicit for the European Union to please liaise with our development banks, Bank of Industry, African Development Bank, African Finance Corporation, because these are resident in Africa and they are doing all this. So liaise with them and be part financing. Secondly, discuss with the government. We need this. We don't need, when you see Africa and they are complaining of light, you begin to wonder, why should you? As I'm talking to you, I have solar energy in my house. Whether there is light or not, I don't know. And it works me 24/7. So this can be done for the whole city. If you know how much of the solar energy generated in California, US, it's enough to tell you that with the solar energy, it's enough for Abuja, it's enough for Sokoto, it's enough for Maiduguri, even for Lagos. So what we are saying, they have gone beyond just financing for your house. You can finance the whole town. And our government should also focus into energy. Energy, energy, energy. Because once you have the issue of security, if you have full energy, you will see the insecurity will go down. Because people will be busy. Small-scale industries survive with the energy. So the European can also participate by interstate through the federal government and to ensure that these projects reach to the common man. If they do that, they will see the reduction of inflow into Europe. Nigerians, we are not willing to go to Europe if we have something to do in Nigeria. So put your energy, put your money here, and you will see less movement into Europe.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Kasimu Garba Kurfi. Actually, yes, you delved very well into that topic, and you actually expatiated further on how this investment in green energy projects by the European Investment Bank will benefit this country and also benefit the entire African continent, actually. So now let's take a look at another issue, actually, on Bitcoins and how, yes, we all know that it's been something that everybody has been rushing to invest in. So Bitcoins recently, in the news, it was reported that there was a price surge on Bitcoins, and there has been an insatiable ETF demand for the Bitcoins. So now I just want to know that what is driving this surge for the demand in Bitcoins ETF? Recently, this demand reached over $73,000, which is quite high, and most experts are predicting that it might reach over $100,000 also, which is going to be very good for investors. So what do you think is driving this surge for demand in Bitcoins ETF?
Generally, we have high inflation rate. And the high inflation rate is across Africa, not only in Nigeria. Go to Ghana, you will see our interests are in double digit. And you find that you hardly get instruments that can compensate you there. The recent MPC meeting moved to 22.75%. And this is what we say risk-free. If free from the risk, you can get 22.75%, but look at the inflation. We are talking of over 30%. So you will see that despite moving it, jumping it by 400 basis points, it's still below the inflation. And trust rich people. They don't want to take anything that will diminish their investment and their wealth. And therefore, there is a rush in any investment that is in other currency than Naira. And that is why it's going. Even though there is a sudden stop by the Bitcoin authority who is saying that they may stop Naira from convertible. But trust it. Whatever they say, it doesn't change the Nigerians that are into that trading to continue the trading. Because they were doing it even before. Today, take the Forex trading. Do you know that we have over 2 million Nigerians trading Forex? And this Forex trading, if you go to, what do you call it? Hot Forex. If you go, we have many of them. We have many of them registered here in Lagos and doing their business. Yet, neither the CBN nor SEC regulate this. And this is where we are getting it wrong. Good enough that the SEC have regulated Bitcoin, and recently they come with a modification, which is good to go. But if you decided not to regulate an instrument that deal with 2 million Nigerians, you are only deceiving yourself. You cannot stop it, and nobody can stop it. So if you cannot stop it, why don't you follow it? So my advice that yes, Bitcoin now moved to 73,000, and it can go to 100,000 because of the recent issue that come from the federal government and their management. But I believe that it's a matter of time we'll get reconciled, and therefore the price may not of such that level, because Nigerians are either number 2 or number 3 globally in terms of trading of this. You will be surprised. Go to Kano. If you see the numbers of youths that are trading into this, you will be shocked. Kano, not even talk of Lagos here or Aba. So people are into it, and people are making money into it, and you cannot stop it because it's a global phenomena. But the best we understand it and regulate it so that also it will be beneficial to the system. How much revenue is the federal revenue are getting from it? Almost zero. Because when you decided not to regulate it, you cannot stop it. Somebody who is trading forex, you say that I'm using my money. How they got their dollar is their business. Whatever the rate is immaterial, and they go and trade, and they make money. So what we are saying that regulate this institution, bring them into this, so that it will be beneficial to the system. Do you know that over $12 trillion are being traded daily on the forex time? And Nigeria is not there. If we are there, it's regulated in South Africa, Mauritius, Kenya. What stop Nigerians? If you regulated it, we can be the hope for Africa. The entire West African, they look after us. If we do it, they will come to us. And once we do this, at the end of the day, you will see that we don't need to lose anything. Because today, British or UK is benefiting because it's the hope for financial sector. What stop Nigerians doing the same? We can do it. We have the capacity in terms of ability, and we have banks that across Africa, where we can call them even the global. We have many banks that have more than 17 countries operating. And this can only be get in South Africa. Even South Africa, they don't have the number of banks across Africa as Nigeria has. So what we are saying that the financial institutions should understand this and come with a framework that will make Nigeria the financial hub center for Africa. And if you do that, the Bitcoin, the Forex trading, and any other trading will come and stay in Nigeria and will regulate and benefit better for our financial institution and better for the country.
Okay, yes, I hear you clearly on that, Mr. Kasimu. Yes, but there was something you mentioned. You said the CBN needs to further regulate people who are trading in Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies. Yes, and also the CBN doesn't really make reference to, okay, where are you getting your foreign exchange from? So recently, after the monetary the MPC meeting, there were some regulations the CBN put out for BDC operators, actually. And also another regulation was that they have to state where they get their foreign exchange from. So it's part of regulating people who are dealing in Forex, actually. So just before we go further, I just want to say that now, do you think that regulations from the Central Bank of Nigeria and other apex banks across Africa, like the Central Bank of Ghana, of South Africa, and other African countries, should be concerned that the potential for manipulation in Bitcoin can also exist in the ETF markets? You
see, if you regulate, you will be able to have a say. But don't forget, Central Bank, they only deal with the money, physical money. Even when you are talking of Forex, you are talking of Forex physical money. But when you are talking of derivatives, Bitcoins, Forex trading, they are derivatives. These can only be regulated by Security and Exchange Commissions. And therefore, what we are saying, the Security and Exchange Commission should be up and doing, regulating this one, and those are coming. Because if they do that, most of today in Nigeria, we are proud to say that we are the hope for Africa. Because one, we have Security and Exchange Commission that regulate the capital market and derivatives. At the same time, we have Investment Security Tribunal. So even where you are in doubt, You can go to Investment Security Tribunal, lay your case, in less than 90 days you get judgment.
Okay.
And this is what we are saying. So these are all what stand for Nigeria ahead of others. So what we are saying, develop this instrument, regulate them, understand them, so that the other Africans that want trade will use Nigeria as a hub center. And don't forget, Nigeria, we are across Africa. We are there and we are doing it. And therefore, when we regulated it here, we'll give the banks the opportunities to also do, because you cannot do forex trading without the support of the banks, because it's a derivative. And most of the time, if you just put $1,000, they will give you $9,000. Who will give you that? It's the banks. So we must have harmonized rules by the Security and Exchange Commission as well as Central Bank of Nigeria. So when we harmonize this rule, it helps to understand the business and it brings better for the nation, for the economy. And I can tell you that if we are into this, we'll know all where, if our Nigerian banks are playing the forex. Forex, not forex in terms of import and export. Forex in terms of trading derivatives. So if they are into that, that will enable them to know whatever the source of this. People are making billions through trading of forex, through derivatives. What stops Nigerians doing it? And if they make it, they will tap from others, because others lose is your gain. And when you bring that gain into Nigeria, we know. We are talking of diaspora, we are talking of over 20 billion remittance. So what do you think that you get if we are today, we allowed our banks to trade forex in derivative forms? So we wish the regulators, particularly the SEC, to see the wisdom and coming out the rule of this one, because Nigerian over 2 million are trading this, and let them be within our regulation. And once they are under your regulation, the SEC will benefit from that, the federal revenue profit from that, and our bankings, which are very strong enough to accommodate this trading, will also benefit. So it's a win-win situation, and that make African country who cannot have the facility, the ability to do this, to come to Nigeria as a hub center.
Okay, so just before we round up, I just want to ask you two questions now. Okay, now, so the future of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in Nigeria and other African countries at large, too, especially with the fact that there is a very high surge in the Bitcoin records as of recent. This recently happened. And so what do you think is the future of Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies in terms of investors investing in it and also trading all over the continent using this cryptocurrency?
These are business come to stay. Anybody that dreams that these will not stay, he is only deceiving himself. That is one. Two, it's good that Nigeria were regulating them. So the Africans who are wait and see, they can come and learn from us. Because yes, you will make your mistake and error, but over a period of time, you will develop it in such a way that you will be a superstar. And this is what Nigeria is doing in terms of this. We understand Bitcoin, we decided to regulate it, and the regulation comes to, so we wish this will continue. But we want them to extend it to Forex. Forex, not Forex as regulated by CBN. Forex are regulated by SEC as a derivative forms. So if they do that, that will take us another line, and I can assure you that it will give the hope for West Africa. And Central Africa, we are very close, they will learn. And even the North Africa and East Africa, they can come to us. Today, in the whole Africa, it's only Nigeria that has Investment Security Tribunal. And this is an institution that is almost 20 years and doing very well. And they, from the beginning to the end of their decisions, it's 90 days. When they started hearing the case, including delivering of the judgment, 90 days. Where do you get this? I had a case that spent 15 years in a commercial court here before I got the judgment. 15 years. What is the time value of Naira 15 years back?
Oh, it was doing better than...
So you can see, but if assuming that all the banks or the court that are into commercial are regulated that they should dispense judgment within 90 days or 180 days, it couldn't have been this.
Yes.
By the time you get judgment, they will go to Court of Appeal. From Court of Appeal, you go to Supreme Court. At the end of the day, you see that you left it for inheritance. But at the end of the day, the truth prevail. And when the truth prevail, the right owner got it.
Yes. So last question before we round up. Yes, Mr. Kasimu. Yes, do you think Bitcoin's ETFs is a sign of mainstream adoption for the Bitcoin actually?
Okay, let me take ETF, exchange trade fund.
Yeah.
Initially, as far back as year 2000, our mutual fund is just 300 million in the Nigerian exchange. Today, as I'm talking to you, is over 2 trillion. So from 300 million in year 2000 is just 24 years, moved to 2 trillion. How many percentage? It's thousands of percentage that have increased. And that show you the rate we are going. And today they are very relevant because a lot of our investors, they are no longer decided to take decision on the equity because of the risky nature of it. They started to go to exchange trade fund. Because exchange trade fund, you are giving your money to professionals who understand it and trade on your behalf. And it is working. And moving to 2 trillion, it shows you that the Nigerians are ready for it, and this come to stay. For Bitcoin, I have no doubt, it's already regulated, and therefore, we want our regulators to be up and down. At any given time, if the need arises, they change their rule because we are in a dynamic world, keep on changing, but we must go with time.
Okay, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us on the investment opportunity by the European Investment Bank on the green energy projects in Nigeria. And also, thank you for sharing your thoughts on how Bitcoins have recorded a price surge and how it's rising steadily, actually. Thank you for joining us this morning on Markets Insights, Mr. Kasimu Garba Kurfi. Actually, it was a pleasure having you on the show this morning. We look forward to having you again on Markets Insights.
Thank you for having me. You're
yes.
welcome.
Now let's look at our money markets figures this morning on today, Thursday, 14th March. Actually, let's look at how much the dollar is faring against the naira and the pound sterling, how it's selling against the naira. So for the official rates, the dollar is selling at 1,520 naira, and in the parallel markets, our unofficial rates, the dollar is selling at 1,605 naira. And the pound sterling at the official rate is selling for 1,974 naira. And in the parallel markets, the pound sterling is selling at 2,030 naira, which was, well, it has reduced from yesterday. And at the official rate, the euro is selling for 1,974 naira. And in the parallel market, the euro is selling at 1,720 naira. So those are our official rates and the unofficial rates as our money market today, Thursday, 14th March. These are our figures this morning. So thank you so much for joining me this morning on Market Insights as I discussed with Mr. Kasimu Garba Kurfi on the European Investment Bank projects on green energy in Africa and how it will actually benefit Nigeria and other African countries, and the surge in Bitcoin, how it has recently recorded a surge and how it's going to keep rising. Recently, there was a surge of over $73,000, and analysts are predicting that it will rise up to over $100,000. So that's our package this morning on Market Insights. Actually, it was a pleasure discussing these issues with my guests and also having you listen and be informed about what's happening in the economy. So thank you so much for watching, and we look forward to our next episode tomorrow again to discuss more economic issues with you. So that was our time. I am Lovina Emma. Stay tuned to more programs on Souq News.